Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're going to do something a little different and new, and possibly start a fresh new series of videos here on the channel. It's going to be aptly called It's Okay When Liberals Do It. As the title suggests, today we're going to be talking about the huge and gaping double standards among the left-wingers in the West these days. I've got 3 big stories and examples of this from the past week or two, and if this thing goes well and you guys like what you see, this could be something that comes back every week or so, depending on content and how many news stories are out there. So without further ado, let's talk about the first thing that's okay when the liberals do it, but not okay when conservatives or anyone else does. The first example is hooking up with coworkers, or more specifically, sleeping with your subordinates. This is an age-old, supposedly taboo thing to do, according to the left, for a good long while now too, especially in this modern post-Me Too era as well. And sometimes it even seems like an understandable qualm to have too, especially when bosses have power over their subordinate employees, which could lead to pressure on them at the workplace if the person doesn't sleep with them as requested, or if they do and want to call it off later. That can also get very messy and uncomfortable and awkward. But nevertheless, people have been having sex with their coworkers for generations, and often in many busy and highly intense, time-consuming professional situations, hooking up with people you work with might even be your only logical option. This history of things and understanding justifications hasn't stopped the left-wingers from attacking anyone they can for doing this though, and this is why modern-day workplaces have become so sterile and, quite frankly, awkward and rather uncomfortable. It's like walking on eggshells at the workplace in this day and age. Not only can you not flirt or dare to date someone you work with, but also you can't even joke around or speak freely about your personal views or beliefs, not without fear of being punished, demoted, fired, or even worse. They could unperson you and make it so you never get a job ever again, or even they could get the bank to close your accounts and get you kicked out of your apartment. With that said, we've got 3 examples today of liberals doing this dating of their coworkers themselves, and specifically 2 of them appear to be dating or hooking up with their subordinates as well. Pretty ironic and hypocritical, considering these are the same types of people who have pushed Me Too and chastised many conservatives and Republicans for doing far less than their own errors. First, let's start this section off with talking about Congresswoman Katie Hill. Quick note before we start this first section. Since I wrote and put together this video, Congresswoman Katie Hill has since resigned from Congress. That's right, her sexual deviancy and misbehavior finally caught up with her. And this is worth noting too, since this video is called It's Okay When Liberals Do It. But while it might seem like Katie has been punished for her misdeeds, I would still say this is an example and it still fits the premise here, since not only did Katie refuse to actually apologize and her resignation was reluctant at best, her liberal cohorts are still supporting her regardless. So Hill's issues aren't really being condemned by her peers, hence it's still actually technically okay when liberals do it, at least according to them. In addition, everything else in this video still stands up for the premise too, so bear with me getting through this now a bit dated Katie Hill section, and then stay tuned, and you can see how all the other cases are still quite certainly okay when liberals do it. Thanks for understanding here, and now back to the show. This so-called first bisexual congressperson has unsurprisingly turned out to be a total train wreck in the public relations department, and also a bit sexually scandalous. Not only has she recently admitted to and apologized for having an inappropriate relationship with a staffer who worked under her, but also she just had a House Ethics Committee open an investigation against her regarding another unflattering and possibly scandalous hookup too. In addition, other details coming out at other news sites reveal even more worse information about Katie, including Hill possibly paying her lover thousands of dollars in consulting fees, probably using taxpayer bucks or campaign donations. And also, terrible pictures are coming out with Katie Hill prancing around naked with her staffers around, getting stoned even, and also her having a pretty offensive tattoo reminiscent of a certain terrible group of murderous Germans from World War II. But if you read into this first CNN article at all, you'll see they are clearly downplaying all of this controversy and trying to make Katie look like she just got caught up in some sort of lover's quarrel or something more innocent. Of course, we all know CNN would not be pulling their punches here if Katie Hill wasn't a Democrat. If she was, say, a right-winger and possibly part of the Trump family, the Clinton News Network would be plastering her nudes all over the front page of their website, and they would be calling her out for sleeping with her subordinates and using her position of power to manipulate them into it, like how they do with everyone else. Next, we got 2 examples of shady relationships and dealings from the now infamous Democrat Democratic Squad, as they like to call themselves, in a cringy way I might add. First, the squad's leader, AOC herself, well, Ms. Cortez has also faced an ethics committee earlier this year when it was discovered that her boyfriend, a straight white male by the way, well, he was given an official government email and a role as a staffer on the House's website. And while Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's camp claims this was just done as a way to give her boyfriend access to her schedule, that was certainly not a standard operating procedure in the House of Representatives at the time, nor is it now. In addition, many looked further into this and discovered possible checks being written to AOC's boo directly from one of her campaign PACs too, happening before and after she came into office. So, while AOC of course still claims this was on the up and up, and of course the mainstream media is covering for her as well, but many still suspect she did hire and pay her boyfriend a bunch of money, and then this whole calendar access bit was just a big cover-up. Finally, to wrap up this dating coworkers and paying off spouses section, another prominent squad member, Ilhan Omar, she's been under intense scrutiny too over the past month or so regarding her own shady relationship with a former coworker and subordinate who is also married with a wife and kids like herself. Apparently, Omar has been having an extramarital affair with her former campaign manager and current political consultant named Timothy Minot. In addition, she's still been paying her new lover loads of money from her congressional budget, and also they've been seen sneaking around and sneaking away on Jamaican vacations, likely paid for by her tax dollars. Omar quickly filed for divorce from her current husband as this story broke, and it's worth noting she already had divorced him once before, almost a decade ago, and in between marrying and divorcing the same man twice, she also had another husband in the middle there, which she obviously divorced too, and now she's sleeping with an employee and paying him thousands of dollars while also breaking up his and her families in the process. And these people have the gall to call Trump and conservatives and our families sexually deviant and inappropriate. Please. Next, let's move on to our second issue of the day, and a new thing that's okay when liberals do it. This time we're going to be discussing a certain left-wing Canadian politician who actually just won re-election as their prime minister this past week. Justin Trudeau is of course the liberal in question now, and if you guys have been keeping up with the news about this Canuck, you probably already know where this story is going. Trudeau of course recently got caught dressing up as a black person in his past, and those now infamous photos came out weeks before Canada's election too, with Justin not only painting his entire face that dark color, but also the guy sported an afro wig, and even he wore tattered jeans where he also was forced to paint his knees and legs black as well. This of course is a big no-no to modern left-wingers, and it's the kind of thing that would get anyone else chastised immensely and probably fired, impeached, and sent off to sea to fend for yourself. The liberals would have deported Trump if he got caught doing something like this, but when it's a stark liberal doing it and a sympathetic Canadian left-winger like Justin Trudeau, who of course completely kowtows to social justice warriors and identity politics, well, in his case, not only did the media and public go rather easy on the guy, but also they still re-elected him as their Canadian leader, despite a large number of many pictures in multiple varied instances of Trudeau culturally appropriating minority cultures and looks and even their skin colors. So, needless to say, it's rather fitting that this article is called Canada the Joke of the World here, because their hypocrisy in this situation is very strong, and they are the ones who have built their country into this leftist, socialist, pro-SJW nightmare town too. But apparently, they don't have to practice what they preach there. As long as you're a devout liberal who kowtows to SJWs, you can basically do whatever you want. Finally, let's get to our third and concluding topic for today: making violent art attacking your political opponents. This was actually the first story that gave me the idea for this video. After I realized how hypocritical the left was being about a certain meme video involving Trump, the "it's okay when liberals do it" idea popped into my head then. And since that story broke, all these other examples started pouring in as well. So I couldn't resist putting this all together and showing you guys what I found. This last violent art section came up recently when a funny meme video came out which had Trump's head superimposed over a very violent fight scene from a movie. I can't show it here for obvious reasons, but to sum things up, basically Trump is a character that is shown going on a killing spree, taking out other characters who had also been superimposed into being Trump's political adversaries, the mainstream media news outlets, and other dumb liberal figures. And come to find out, this was actually a famous scene from the Kingsman movie from 2014. Not sure if people knew that right away, but I certainly did. I love that movie, and this scene is one of the greatest action sequences in modern times. If you're a fan and in the know, this is of course the scene in the church where the Kingsman agent gets brainwashed and then goes on a tear, taking out everyone in in that room. All the while, a perfect song plays in the background, Freebird by Lynyrd Skynyrd. Love that track. But the origin is besides the point today, really. What ended up happening when this Trump meme version came out was all hell broke loose in the liberal-run mainstream media. For some reason, they wanted to tie this directly to the president and try and take him down for it too, even though it was quite obviously fan-made and not connected to his campaign or staff whatsoever. And in addition, it's okay to make a meme like this. It was a joke scene from a funny, comedic, action-packed movie, and no one really should be taking this seriously. But regardless of no proof of a connection and this not being that bad, liberals still tried to tie it to the president anyway and use it to take him down, even saying he was making this meme himself to encourage real-world violence against his political opponents. Eventually, when the truth came out, left-wing hack reporters had to walk these statements back though, because of course, they're not true at all, and they're completely off base too. One example of this can be seen with this IndieWire article. If you search for it, the Google result here shows they originally titled their piece saying Trump was using this Kingsman scene himself and made the meme, but then IndieWire quickly had to backpedal and retitle the article on its direct page without adding any notes or corrections or apologies whatsoever, because of course they didn't. Leftists love to rewrite history and pretend they never did anything wrong, don't they? And this strong chastising of a joke meme is rather hypocritical for left-wingers too, considering they like to joke and fantasize about killing the president all the damn time. Like that time they had that play in Central Park years ago in which the president's character got stabbed to death on stage violently with blood pouring everywhere. And also, another big example that comes to mind here is when Kathy Griffin, the former comedian and D-list celebrity, well, she did her now infamous beheading photo shoot where she symbolically decapitated Trump with a bloody fake head in her hand and everything, while also being creepily covered in fake blood herself too. I can't really show you examples of these pictures or stunts because they will get me flagged here on YouTube, but needless to say, if you do a light search on your own on the internet, you will find them out there pretty easily. And in my opinion, the left-wingers symbolically taking out Trump, they're not really making a joke of it much at all. That Kingsman parody scene was very funny, and it was referencing a violent movie, sure, but it also had a lot of humor and style to it as well. But this anti-Trump stuff just comes off as mean-spirited and not very humorous in the slightest. While I get the feeling our side is doing these memes for the laughs and the jokes of it, it really seems like the left and their side has some actual mental issues, and like they might eventually lose it one day, God forbid. In the end, that's three big examples of how it's okay when liberals do it, but not okay when conservatives do, or when anyone else does for that matter. Democrats will always protect their own, and the more they do it, and the more they come after us for doing things they think are okay within their own circles, well, the more that makes them look stupid and hypocritical, and completely out of touch with the real world. What do you guys think? Is it actually okay when liberals do it? Or perhaps, is it okay when we all do it? And lefties, well, they just struggle with finding ways to attack their opponents, so they have to fake outrage and pretend things are wrong in order to slander us. Comment your thoughts on everything below, and if you like this new video and want more episodes of It's Okay When Liberals Do It, make sure you hit that like button below. Let's see if we can get, say, 4,000 likes today, and then I'll make another episode in this new series. Thanks for your time, guys, and have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.